This is such an interesting time in our country. I've been around a long time. So starting this year, I've been involved in education for 50 years. Yeah, that's how old I am. I was about to go, really? This is what it means when you've been in education for 50 years. So a year ago, I was up at Harvard. We have a summer institute we run. And I was going in, and this elderly gentleman stopped me and said, Mr. Canada, don't you remember me? And I'm thinking, where do I know this guy from? He was like, I was one of your kids. I'm like, the guy was bald, he was gray. I've been in this business too long. I was retired. And for reasons that weren't clear to me, I woke up in the middle of the night, and God spoke to me and said, you've got to save another 1 million kids. And it was kind of funny because when I told my wife she's a minister, she was like, okay, yeah, this is going to be good. You got no job, you got no staff, you got no money. You're going to save 1 million kids. And out of nowhere, CEO decides he wants to take our work national. Foundations decide they want to focus on neighborhoods. And I came out of retirement, and 3 months later, COVID hit. And I realized why God brought me back. I don't know if you have a real clear understanding of the damage those years did to our children. I've never seen anything like it, and I've been at this 50 years. And I am telling you, we are in danger for real. People talk about losing a generation of children. I am telling you, 10 years from now, when we're wondering why these young people can't get jobs, why so many are committing suicide, why we're locking up young people at higher rates than ever before, people are going to be talking about, that's the COVID generation. We can stop that from happening. At the very time that's happening, it looks like we're losing. It looks like all the stuff we cared about is now passé. When they created Waiting for Superman, after the film was done, it didn't have a name. And one day, months later, David Guggenheim called me and he said, Jeff, we got a name for the documentary. I was like, really? Oh, great. What's the name? He said, we're going to call it Waiting for Superman. So I was kind of shocked and flattered because it was taken from something I said on camera when I was a kid. Like that little young boy we watched on that documentary, on the introduction. I was a big comic book fan. Superman, Batman, Superwoman, all DC comics. There was no Marvel. This is back in the day. I told you I'm old. This is back in the day. All right. And I was a huge comic book reader. And I was reading one day and my mother said, no, Jeff, Superman is not real. And I began to cry. And she thought I was crying because there's no Easter bunny. I was crying because growing up in the South Bronx, when that place was the epitome of a failed community, when I saw drugs and crime and young people without hope or a future, I knew that if there were no superheroes, we weren't getting out of this. This was too tough for any average person to help us get through. I know some folks look and say, well, yeah, Jeff, yeah, you grew up, but look, you got out. Yes, but I had 3 brothers. Only 2 of them made it. My wife's from Harlem. She had 3 brothers and sisters. None of them made it. I know the end result of leaving children abandoned and hopeless. There's only one superhero in this auditorium, and it's you. There is nobody coming to save our children if we don't do it ourselves. I am telling you that this is a moment that we've got to stand up. Look, sometimes you don't know right. You say, I don't know if that's right. We have no doubt that what's happening to America's children is a travesty and a shame. And shame on us if we allow this to happen and we know it's wrong and we do nothing about it. I don't know. Look, I'm 73 years old. I'm yelling at you this morning for a reason, all right? There's a moment in this country we have to stand up and say no more. Look, you can do whatever you want to me. Fine, I did my time, I had my career, that's fine. My children, my grandchildren, they deserve an America where they have the same opportunities we have, and that is quickly disappearing in this country. I'm asking you all that, part of the theory is come at you in so many different ways that you feel helpless and hopeless and you give up and you think it's somebody else's job. I learned a long time ago, there's no one who has the answer but us. When I was a young professional, I used to think, okay, I'm in Harlem, things are going bad, everything seems to be falling apart, but there's a plan. Someone has an answer, it's just above my pay grade, right? So I thought the people in charge, they knew. But in my 50 years, I've met a few presidents, a few secretaries of education, secretaries of health and human services. And you know what happened when I met them? They would all come up to Jeff, can I talk to you for a second? What do you think we ought to do? I'm like, you're in charge of the whole country, you don't know? You don't have an idea? I'm not kidding. We're going to have to save this country. But unless you forget, when I was a kid, if you think the presidents and the secretaries and the governors were the ones who ended Jim Crow, you are 100% wrong. If you think that the citizen didn't have to rise up and say enough of this, they knew it was wrong and it didn't matter whether you were black or white, male or female, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, people decided we are not going to have an America where half of our country realizes they don't have equal rights. And they went against what the president was saying. They went against what Congress and the Senate. People took action. If you think the war in Vietnam ended because somebody had an epiphany who was in politics, you are 100% wrong. People marched in these streets and they said enough. The people run this country and we've been convinced we don't. Folks feel like there's nothing we can do. I'm here to say no. We're going to have to do something to save our children in this country. That data that you heard and you're going to get a sense of, I know what it looks like personally when children have given up hope. But I'm here to say, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. Yeah, my kids in Harlem, we had to shut our schools. But you look at our last steps, we made up all that learning loss. We figured out how to do it. You know what? Because we surrounded these young people with adults who care, with additional help and support, with mental health services, with physical health services, making sure our young people got what our own children get from us. This is not rocket science. We know what to do for children. We do it for our own children. We just think some children we can't afford to do it for. And that is going to destroy this nation. I'm just telling you right now, we have plenty of resources to take care of America's children. The question is, do we have the will? So I know some of you are saying, you know what, Jeff? Yeah, that's great. You run the Harlem Children's Zone. Back in the day, now you've got a staff and folks. So you can talk about $1 million. What can I do? I'm going to tell you something. You don't know what an individual act to save a child might do for a city or a state or a country. So, many decades ago, maybe 40 years ago, I was running the organization and I was going to try and raise some money from this foundation called the Annie Casey Foundation. And we didn't have a lot of private and foundation dollars then, so I was, focused and psyched. I was trying to raise this dollar. And when I got there, this young black woman said to me, look, Mr. Canada, I know you're busy. You didn't come here for this. But my son is in real trouble. And his father died in front of him. He's gotten arrested. He's only 13. And I don't know what to do. I'm a single mom. And if you could just take the time. She didn't know me. She didn't know I will always take the time. If you have a child who's in trouble, if I can help, I am going to help. So she brought that young boy in front of me, and I did my best impersonation of the angry black man, right? How dare you? You got a single mother. She's working every day for you, and you're sitting here acting like a jerk. What kind of young man are you? What kind of man are you going to turn out to be if you don't respect your mother? I'm yelling at this boy. I stayed in touch with that boy. When he graduated school, when he joined the military, that young man is now the governor of Maryland, Westmore. I will tell you, you do not know what an individual act might do for a city or state, even for a country. No child is expendable. What if no one had taken the time? How many Westmores do we lose because there's no one there? No one who think you're too important, too busy. You don't have to save 1 million children. Save one. That one act might change the whole world. You know, Dr. King said the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. We need to help bend that arc towards justice. We know what's right. No one has to convince us. So today, in the midst of all of this, we've got to stand up for children in this country. I love Marian, Wright, Edelman. That woman put children first, and she didn't care who she had to fight to protect our children. It's time for us to stand up. So let me close. I like to close my talks with poems, and I'm going to close with this poem that I wrote called Take a Stand. Maybe before we didn't know that Corey is afraid to go to school, the store, to roller skate. He cries a lot for a boy of 8. But now we know each day it's true that other girls and boys cry too. They cry for us to lend a hand. Time for us to take a stand. And little Maria's window screens keeps out flies and other things, but she knows to duck her head when she prays each night for bed. Because in the window come some things that shatter little children's dreams. For some, the hourglass is out of sand. Time for us to take a stand. And Charlie's deepest secret wishes is someone to smother him with kisses and squeeze and hug him tight, so tight, while he pretends to put up a fight. Or at least someone to be at home who misses him. He's so alone. Who allowed this child-forsaken land? Look in the mirror. Take a stand. And on the Sabbath, when we pray to our God, we often say, "Oh Jesus, Muhammad, Abraham, I come to better understand how to learn to love and give and lead the life you taught to live. In faith, we must join hand in hand. Suffer the children, take a stand." And tonight, some child will go to bed, no food, no place to lay their head, no hand to hold, no lap to sit, to give slobbery kisses from slobbery lips. So you and I, we must succeed in this crusade, this holy deed, to say to the children of this land, have hope. We're here. We take a stand. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.